Hey everyone, welcome back to my live weekly speaking test series where I respond to this week's latest IELTS questions. Alright, let's go. Let's see what we have for part one. So, do you like to watch TV programs about wild animals? Not so much. I don't watch a lot of TV, honestly. And when I do, it's probably, documentaries and stuff like that about the world generally, so not really about wild animals, no. But when I was a child, I really enjoyed it. I remember I used to come home, I think at, I don't know, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and we'd have the Discovery Channel or something else. I'm not sure what it was called back then, but we had all these, we had this, what's it called, the Crocodile Hunter or something? There was this TV program about a man who'd go out, Steve Irwin, who would go out in the wild and try and feed or do something with these animals. I don't remember what it was, but I would watch that for like the entire half an hour or 45 minutes that it was shown for. It was fun back then, but I don't see myself doing that now. I don't really have any kind of an interest in that, no. Did you learn anything about wild animals at school? Yeah, well, of course we do. I mean, you learn about, what kind of animals your country has, and I think we learned about this in not just in science but in history. No, no, sorry, geography as well. Because of course, you only find certain animals in certain, geographic zones or regions. So yeah, we did. Although I don't remember anything particular. I mean, I do remember we had this I think we had a few chapters about the environment or something. In fact, we had environmental studies as a separate, subject altogether, and we learned about, how many animals were endangered and how tigers and lions and the like were rapidly decreasing. I think we had a severe crisis, in fact, back in the early 2000s. So we had all these conservation programs, and they've been pretty successful, yeah. Do you have a favorite wild animal? I don't really think I do, but I did read about slow lorises. I don't know, like a few years ago I saw this picture online and it's a wild animal, but it's really cute looking. It has these really huge eyes the size of quarters, and I don't know what exactly it eats or something. I guess it's related to the koala bear. And other than that, I don't know much about it. I've heard that it eats, I mean, just like bamboo leaves or something. Again, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but yeah, I mean, it looks cute. That's all I know about it. As such, I don't really have a favorite animal particularly, especially a wild animal. I think I would prefer to stay away because I have no like wilderness survival skills. I'm a city girl and I haven't really had any contact with wild animals either. Just the usual, dogs and cats that you find. Yeah. What wild animals are common in your country? Well, we have a lot of wildlife. I think we have the most popular ones are of course leopards and tigers and cheetahs and lions, and we have I think a lot of elephants. Yeah, they're very common, and I mean people really kind of respect these animals too. We have had issues with leopards though in my city because we have a really big national park, so it's inside the city. It's like very weirdly situated because you've got residential areas right next to the park, and sometimes there have been cases where leopards would jump into the buildings, like backyard or fence, and there have been people who have been injured, so it's kind of a little bit dangerous too. But I mean, I don't really know if it's right to fault the animal because I mean it's humans who have encroached on the animal's land. So I mean, as far as the animal is concerned, it's just his or her home. So yeah. Right, let's see what we have for part two. Okay. Describe a situation when you were extremely bored. You should say when did this happen, where did this happen, who was there with you, and explain how you felt about it. And as always, if you get a question and you feel confused, like, oh, I don't remember a particular time, because there's, probably many times when you were bored, but nothing memorable happened, and that's exactly why you don't remember it. Just pick any event. Maybe you were in a lecture or something, and you found the professor's lecture really boring. That's fine. Just, you don't have to say the truth, yeah? So just create something if you can't remember. Like for example, I mean, I can't remember anything particular. I do remember being bored a couple weeks ago, so I'm just gonna go with that. So let me just set my timer. Okay, well, I'm not gonna make notes. here we go. So a couple weeks ago, in fact, I think this was just last week. No, I know it was a week before that because last week I had to have my camera on, but the week before that it was just audio only. So we had each Sunday I have this 5 hour lesson because I'm learning German, and so it's I mean I enjoy learning, but it's just 5 hours at a stretch. It's like, incredibly taxing on the mind. And as a teacher myself, I wonder how they can do it because I would never be able to do a 5 hour lesson. Of course, we have like 5-10 minute breaks every now and then, but that's not enough. So anyway, I think she was teaching something. I think it was just revision because it was one of our, I think just the second lesson of our A2 level. And she was going on and on about, I mean, no offense, she's a very good teacher, of course, but I mean, I just, there's like 60 students in the class, and then there's people who are like, oh, I don't know what this is. Oh, can you explain this? Oh, I don't know what this is, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like, I hate to say it, but they were asking really silly questions. And I would have just told them, why don't you revise? That's what I would have told them. But I mean, she was like, I mean, it took a lot of time out of our lesson. I was just bored because, I mean, they were just talking about things that we already done. And I mean, and of course, I mean, a lot of my batchmates shared my sentiment, okay? Because we were, like in the group chat and we were like talking about this, like, oh, they're just asking the same things we've already done. I mean, and really basic stuff like, oh, why is the first letter of the noun capitalized? Like, hello, it isn't English. Of course, it's just the rule. You have to deal with it. You can't ask why this is this way in the language. I mean, that's why it's a different language. And then the whole silly thing with, people just being like, oh, but in English it's like this, so why isn't it like this in German? Like, come on, we've already dealt with this in A1. I mean, really, it was really frustrating, and I was just completely zoned out, so I started doing other things. I started, checking my students' essays and just, looking at my calendar and figuring out what I need to do and just doing other work-related things because I was getting really bored, and I was just like, I was zoned out completely. And I think she then announced that we're going to play a game on Kahoot, and I was like, yeah, then I got really excited because I'm really competitive. And anytime we have some kind of assignment that we have to do with a deadline or something, or if there's a game, that really fires me up. But generally, I have a very short attention span, so I mean, I have the attention span of a goldfish, so it's very easy for me to zone out, and I'm always, trying to do 2 things at once, maybe 3 things at once. That's just the way I am. That doesn't mean I'm efficient. It's just, yeah, this is the thing. And again, I spoke to other people, and they felt the same way, like, oh God. I mean, first of all, it's 5 hours, right? And then you have people who are asking really stupid questions that, they could have just revised and, figured that out by themselves. But yeah, that's that. Okay, let's see what we have for part 3. Why do people get bored? Okay, well, obviously people get bored for a range of things. I mean, sometimes you're just, there is a period of time. I mean, you could get bored at work, for example, if your work is, I guess, ridiculously simple, or if you're already, if you've already done what you have to, and you have like, I don't know, just time to kill, and you can't do anything. You don't have any avenues for entertainment, or if you're stuck somewhere that you would really prefer not to be. Let's say you go out someplace and your friends just, I guess, drag you there, and you don't enjoy the concert, or you don't enjoy whatever is going on. Maybe they drag you to a football match or something and you just don't care. Of course you're going to get bored. I think it's just a normal response. So I mean, why do you get bored? That's such a, there's as many answers as there are people on the planet. I mean, everybody has a different, reason for why they would get bored. I would say for me personally, it's just that I have a very short attention span, and it's like children when they see like infants. I mean, when they see something sparkly or shiny, the attention just kind of goes there. So I tend to sometimes be that way. Thankfully, I'm not doing any multitasking right now, but I am kind of looking at my phone occasionally. That's just who I am. I mean, if I had to just focus on one thing, I quickly find myself thinking about other things. Why are some people less interested in reading books? I think that is a major problem. I mean, maybe I'm just old-fashioned, I guess, but you see a lot of people, like, especially when I was a teenager, people had this idea that reading books is uncool, that, books? I don't have time for books. Who has time for that? That kind of, attitude, like, as if it's a stupid thing or something. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe people have, again, I mean, maybe you just don't like the tiny font. That can definitely be a reason. But hey, if that's the problem, then we have audiobooks nowadays, no excuse. I'm not saying everybody has to like what I like. Of course, I mean, y- it's a free world. You can like whatever you like. You don't necessarily have to read just because some people think it's a good thing. But then again, it's just there's so many other ways to entertain yourself. I mean, when I was young, I would entertain myself by reading like storybooks and other such things, encyclopedias. I would buy medical journals just to read them. Like, I mean, I had like I was never going to be a doctor or something, but I would just buy and read it, like. But that's just how some people are. I mean, when you have so many options, you have TV, I mean, you have Netflix, you have the internet, you have YouTube, you have video games that you can be playing. There's so many ways that you can get information. You don't necessarily have to read a book. So, well, naturally, then, I mean, back then, like, let's say 50, 60 years ago, you didn't really have these powerful computers. I mean, even just as recently as 15 years ago, the internet was still kind of, in this very, well, okay, maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you didn't really have a whole lot of avenues, and it kind of, sorry about that, so you kind of did have to, read a book if you wanted knowledge or specific information about something. But times are different now, and I think people generally have shorter attention spans as well. I mean, to read a book from beginning to end is like, I mean, I myself don't do it. When I pick up a book, I'll read it. If I'm really passionate about it, I'll read the whole thing immediately. Otherwise, I'll break it up, like read like 50 pages today and then forget about it for 3 months and then pick it up again. Why do some people choose boring jobs? Because they're not boring for them. Isn't that simple? I mean, you might think it's boring, like I might think, what kind of jobs do I think are boring? Anything related to engineering. I don't know why, but when I think of the word engineering, I just think something that's very gray and industrial and has to do a lot of math with. That's my idea, and I find that boring. But somebody else may not. Like, no shade, no offense, of course. So, I mean, boring is just in your brain. Like, why do some people choose interesting jobs? Because they're interesting to them. What kind of questions is that? Just because you find something boring doesn't mean the other person does as well. That's something they're legitimately interested in, or they're skilled in that at that. And I mean, I just think that jobs are a way to share your skills with the world. Like, you have a unique set of skills, and there is a demand for that in the market, the job market, the service market, whatever. The world needs your skills, and you work for in exchange for money. That's that. I think it's a pretty fair, exchange. And I mean, I don't know, that's just weird. There's no such thing as a boring job. I mean, yeah, if somebody forced me to do that kind of thing, I would fail horrendously because I don't know anything about it. And to me, that's boring. It's as simple as that. Are all the boring jobs going to be done by robots in the future? Oh, I think you mean boring as in like flipping burgers or something, or being a barista, something like that, I guess. Because if you mean that, then yeah, probably. I mean, they're monotonous, repetitive, like packing boxes, in a warehouse or something. Oh yeah, well, that kind of work, I think it is being done by robots, especially packing boxes and everything. You can easily automate that. You have these little robotic arms that pick up, the, the items, and they put them in the box, and they, pack them and everything. I mean, it's been done for a long time. So yeah, I think so. I mean, increasing automation is a good thing. Yeah, some jobs will be affected, but then again, these are really bottom of the barrel jobs, don't you think? I mean, they're just like, well, I mean, they're just jobs you get when you're just starting out, right? When you're like a teenager, or when you're just a, college student. And I don't think it's bad. I mean, in fact, I think we should push for more automation, and we should also push for some kind of universal basic income, so people can keep a roof over their head and food in their stomach. And then whatever you want, that's up to you. I think that would really make people do meaningful jobs. I don't think people will become lazy if all the jobs go to robots. It's an unfounded fear. But yeah, I think there will be more and more automation. And why not? I mean, technology is improving so rapidly. There are things that we couldn't do just until 10 years ago, and now we have like deliveries made by drones and things like that. I mean, just imagine that would cut down like delivery time immensely, and that's amazing. I think we should definitely push for this. Some people are afraid that, oh, our jobs are going to get taken away, which is legitimate, but then there has to be like, I mean, people are like, I mean, everybody has multiple skills. It's not that you just know how to pack boxes. I mean, you can easily turn that skill into something else as well. Okay, really good questions this time. Right, so that's it for today. I'll see you next week on Wednesday if you want me to write an essay, or again, you can just come back on Saturday if you'd like me to hear, if you'd like to hear me respond to any more of these questions. All right, then, see you next time.